Hello and welcome to Filter Optional. I am Chico.
And I'm Shannon.
And we're back at Casa Colina Production. What is Casa Colina? If you haven't listened, Casa Colina is an all-male 90-day drug and alcohol rehab.
Yes.
Just south of Dallas, about 32 miles south of our studio right now.
Equipping men and their families with the tools for a lifetime of freedom and sobriety.
That is our mission. That's what we do.
Yes.
But here on Filter Optional, we'll talk about addiction. We'll talk about a lot of different things. Topics range from feelings to what is normal, ADD.
Codependency.
We've talked a lot about codependency. Mm-hmm. You know, we've had some great guests on as well.
Yeah, talking about trauma and...
Yes. We our last guest, Wanda, One Blunt Woman, she has a good podcast as well.
Yes, she does. It's really good.
Yes, and we appreciate her on our last episode. But today's episode, it's you and I. We're going to spend a little time together discussing. I'm going to call this episode, I don't know if Kevin's going to call it, that Kevin's our producer. We love Kevin.
Oh, yeah, I love you guys. I like that I have some freedom there to pick the titles because
you
guys
do.
can do whatever you want, but I always just put something in there and see.
Yes.
And I love it.
I like your titles that you come up with. So he might change the title. But today, I was thinking, you and I talked a little bit, but this is more of a hodgepodge episode. You know?
Well, yeah. I mean, you don't want to title it hodgepodge, but I think it's like a Thanksgiving buffet.
Yeah, you know what?
Right
a little of everything.
Right before Thanksgiving, the Thanksgiving holidays, we're having a little bit of a Thanksgiving buffet.
I like that Thanksgiving buffet.
Yes,
because there might be some turkey, some stuffing.
Okay,
some
we're not
sweet
going to go down
potatoes.
the list. Yeah.
We do the fried turkey at our house.
Nice.
Fried turkey.
We do. Yes, we do.
So kind of talking about, we're going to talk, I do, it's been on my mind a bunch lately.
Yeah, go ahead.
It's just, I do want to talk a little bit. We'll probably come back and do a whole episode on this, but just the narcissistic personality disorder.
Well, okay, yeah. So we're gonna get into that, but I want to lead into kind of what we have thought about talking about, because I just had lunch with some friends, and since it's right before Thanksgiving, everybody's like, okay, what do we're about to break, from lunch and then break from school and everything else, and like, what does everybody got going on? And everybody has plans, whatever that might be, and they have family coming in, they're going out of town, they're
going on a vacation,
whatever. But everybody has stuff going on, and the story is similar for everybody. There are people that, certain people aren't looking forward to seeing. There are broken relationships that need mending. There's so many different personalities, obviously, which we'll talk about, because most families probably have a narcissist in their family. But just as I was listening to everybody talk about all the different family dynamics and the things that they were going to have to endure this week, that's supposed to be a week of gratitude and Thanksgiving and being grateful for things, when you're actually not so grateful for some of the relationships and some of your family members, unfortunately, and all that kind of stuff. But it just had me thinking. I'm looking around the table and I'm thinking, well, like, what aren't we probably someone's nightmare? Like, am I a narcissist and I don't know it?
Or am I OCD?
Well, yeah,
or am I the one that...
Well, I know I'm OCD, and I know I'm codependent, and I had just gotten off the phone with my mom. I can out this story, but
because you usually don't out too much.
Well, no. I mean, she called because we are going to the lake this year for Thanksgiving, which we're all really excited about. It's gonna be awesome because it's different.
I don't know if our youngest is as excited as we are.
Well, he thinks we're tearing him away from his friends and everything, but we're not.
Well, last night it was funny. What he said was, I'm not going to lake with anybody. I go, no, you're actually going with your mom and your dad.
Yeah.
We are people.
And he was like, what? And I go, well, and Travis is coming. And he's like, are you sure? Because he wasn't convinced that Travis
and your grandparents
is coming.
are coming.
And then when I said, your grandparents are coming, he was like, oh, wow, that makes it just so much better,
Yeah.
So I understand where he's coming from, but I'm just saying that my mom called because they're going to let a friend from Dallas ride with them to Austin. So, but my mom called me specifically to say, oh my gosh, I'm about to kill your dad. Like he is, so if my dad ends up dead, you can't use this as evidence that my mom, don't put my mom in jail. Because she said, I'm going to kill him because he is worried so much about where we're going to meet this woman's son to pick her up, to take her back to Austin and whatever. And he's so worried about it that he's asking for this son's address in Austin, so he can map it out and I was like, why does he need to map out where this child is going to come from to pick up his mother?
But it's not a child; it's actually
it's
an adult that's
yes,
our
he has
age.
children. Yes,
you're
I know, but I'm just trying to keep all the players.
Yes.
Since I can't use names, I'm trying to keep all the players, and it was so. But and I told Mom, I go, wait, just please just call him back and say, or talk to him wherever he is and say, Joe, all we need to do is tell this person the address of where we will be with his mother. And he just gets there. And so my mom was like, well, and I go, no, that's it. Go tell him you're going to meet him in Marble Falls. And that's it. And she was like, okay, I'm going to try this. But that's my dad being codependent, like getting into this, trying to fix for the holidays and trying to make everything okay for everybody and whatever. And so that's annoying. But,
and all of us have our shortcomings, and I like what you said kind of in the opening, everybody has a crazy uncle, whoever. You can put the name in there, or crazy aunt, whoever. You have these big Thanksgiving celebrations, and you're supposed to be thankful for and going, watch out for crazy uncle, whatever. I love Robert Earl King about
Christmas.
Merry
Christmas from the family. Yeah.
Yes, and how there's the crazies in the family and stuff like that.
But who do I drive crazy? Because I'm sure there's somebody who's dreading being with me, and so I just want to talk about a little bit about personal responsibility as far as
personal responsibility. But I love we get into that personal responsibility is we can get amped up on little things. Your parents are coming down and they're, I think, excited. They're bringing the turkey and they're, excited to go to the football game with us and do, this activity at the lake with us. And then we're going to drive over. But your dad gets all amped up. It's outside his comfort zone.
Yes.
And see, the deal is, personal responsibility, yes, but a lot of us are going to be outside our comfort zone if we're leaving town.
Right.
And if we're going to a family member's house, if it's your parents' house, if it's the house you grew up in, if it's your aunt and uncle's house.
Right.
Or we get outside our comfort zone when our family comes to our house.
Exactly.
And so what?
Because they're kind of pushing us out of our comfort zone and in different ways.
And so when we're talking about this episode is okay, we're outside our comfort zone. We have our daily routines, we have our weekly routines and stuff like that. When holidays come and you have someone coming to your house or you're going to someone else's house, be aware that personal responsibility.
Yeah.
But I think we also have to be aware of we're going into their house. It might have been your house that you grew up in.
Right.
But it's we're upset in the apple cart, so to speak.
Right. And you have to take that personal responsibility to not. I think that everyone my point of the lunch discussion too was that everybody at the table, including myself, was quick to blame other people for their holiday nightmares
or their angst.
Their angst.
I don't even know if it's nightmares.
Not even nightmares, but just their angst and their stress and anxiety around the holidays. And so I think you have to start to just change the narrative and change the thought process of okay, I need to look inside myself and decide how I'm going to make this work for me.
Well, and right there, I like that you said, it's easy to blame others. I'm pointing the finger right now. And the deal is when I'm pointing the finger, I have 3 more pointing back at me.
Right.
You know, so if I'm blaming you or uncle so and so or aunt so and so, you know,
Or, or saying there's nothing I can do because they're crazy or they're a narcissist, which we can talk about that too. If you do have a narcissist in your family or friends that you have to engage with on a regular basis, I think, unfortunately, that is a personality disorder that is very tough to.
but they suck you
for
in.
the person, for the person that suffers from it, they can't ever. I don't know. Do they ever identify it, and do they ever realize, like, I'm the narcissist? Like I was saying at the beginning, that's the problem with the alcoholic realizes that he's an alcoholic because
or the codependent. I like you.
Yes.
Or you can recognize, man, I struggle with depression.
Yes,
You know,
or anxiety or something like that. But you don't see narcissists walking down the street. Hi, my name is Shannon West, and I'm a narcissist, and I admit it, and I am getting better. But how do you give people the tools to?
Well, first we have to identify
Yeah.
what a narcissist is. You know, and the deal is with someone with alcoholism. If you look at the DSM-5, that's an Axis 1 diagnosis. An Axis 2 is a personality disorder.
Right.
You know, and so it's like
I
you
say
have
right,
this
but I don't know.
you have this
I mean-
personality, and sometimes it's from early childhood and stuff like that, you start to see those signs and symptoms.
Yes.
And
it's different from cockiness.
oh yeah,
Like we have a son that's cocky, but I don't think he's a narcissist.
No.
But he's cocky.
He's cocky, but they have this grandiose sense of self-importance.
Right.
You know, lives in a fantasy world that supports their delusions of grandeur. You know, I mean, that's that, you know, they have these delusions of grandeur, you know, needs constant praise and admiration, you know, sense of entitlement, you know, exploits others without guilt or shame, you know, frequently demeans, intimidates, bullies, or belittles others. You know, you might have 1 or 2 of these things, but when you have all these things, I mean,
I think it's still tough to identify because they're masters at getting people on their team. I mean, they can be wolf in sheep's clothing.
Well, they have this. They have the narcissist can be very magnetic
and they can be very
charming,
flattering. Yes,
charming.
Yes,
and they're very good at creating a fantastical, flattering self-image that draws us in.
Yeah.
You can get drawn in quickly. We're probably attracted to their apparent confidence and lofty dreams. I know I've been sucked in. I've had people in my life that I've been sucked into that narcissist.
Yes.
And it's like, man, they are charming. They are really good. I've seen it happen in my life. It's like I've walked away from conversations with them, and it's like, wow, they sucked me in.
Yes.
Big time. And it's like and I would be cautious before identifying someone or diagnosing them as narcissist.
Right.
But man, when you do,
right,
when there is all this evidence, it's like, man, to even try to talk to them, you're right. To even try to have a conversation, they suck you in, and you walk away. Wait a minute, what just happened?
But they're masters at knowing how to, not necessarily trigger you even, but they can steer. They're masters at steering the conversation.
Yeah. Oh.
You know. So, how do you go into that? Like, if you know you're going. I mean, I can't imagine the narcissist that I'm thinking of in our family. We are not going to see over Thanksgiving. We're just not.
Yeah.
So I don't have to worry about preparing myself for conversation or interaction with that person. But how do you mentally, I have to mentally prepare for a conversation or an interaction with a narcissist.
Oh, you definitely do. I mean,
what are some tools though that you can, don't engage.
Don't engage. Don't get fooled that you're going to be different. Because here's the deal: is like the narcissist.
That you're going to be different in a way that you're going to change them, or that it's going to be a different conversation because of you. Because you're the way.
But
that's
you
what you mean.
see,
is that what you mean?
Yeah, exactly. Because you will see how they treat others, and you'll minimize it. You've gotten caught up in their web.
Right.
You know, I've done that. You've seen me do it. You've fallen victim to it for the people that we know.
Yes.
And it's like, man, they're good, and you defend them, and you think for some reason That's the deal, is that you're gonna be different, and they're not gonna do that same thing to you.
Right.
And they might not do it for a while, for years.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, wow. So don't fall for the fantasy that you're different and will be spared.
Yeah.
I have done that, and
Yes.
it's like, wow.
That you'll be spared, or you'll be the one that's like, okay, they finally changed, or they, I finally got them to see my side, or
Well, and the deal is, take off the rose-colored glasses. I like that approach. When you really think about taking off the rose-colored glasses, it's important to see that the narcissist in your life for who they really are, not who you want them to be. Because when you get sucked into that web, you get, hey, this is who I want them to be. I've done that with different narcissists in my life.
okay. So I think a good tool that I've heard you were given by a counselor years and years ago to deal with some people in your life, and then you shared it with me, and then I've translated it into mine. But I do think it helps when you look at a mental disorder, that is a handicap of sorts. And a mental handicap. And we all have those too, I believe. Maybe somebody thinks that they don't have any mental handicaps, but then they're a narcissist probably. But
or sometimes we might call them. The other thing is, I like your approach, so stick with your thought.
I will.
Sometimes is mental handicaps blind spots.
Yes.
Every one of us has blind spots that we're not aware of.
Right. And
we need people in our life to identify those blind spots.
Right. And but I think if you've identified that with a family member, whatever it might be, a mental handicap of sorts, then you can go into the holidays treating them as such. What if they had a visible outward handicap, like paralysis and in a wheelchair and things like that? How are you going to treat that person? You're going to have some kindness and some compassion. And I know it's hard. It's very hard to have kindness.
You're
and
not going to say,
compassion
hey,
towards-
let's go outside and throw the ball.
Right.
And run around.
That's right.
Hey, you
You're
want to
not
get
gonna-
on the bike with me and let's go on a bike ride?
That's right. You're going to be very careful about
Yeah.
how you engage them.
Yes. Now, you might engage them.
And how you communicate with them.
You
and how
might play a game with them
Right, sure.
by sitting down, but you're not going to.
You figure out what their limitations are in your relationship, and then you stay in those limitations and take the responsibility to, engage with that person. And so if you view somebody, if you have a narcissist or something, and you know that it's just going to backfire and manipulative, then view them as that and figure out how you can engage with them to get through the situation.
Well, and the deal is, what I'd like to think also is, like, we're talking about the holidays, but at the same time, we're talking about the narcissistic person or someone with a handicap in your family. What's happening is you got to come up with a plan. And the plan is that self-awareness. The plan is, okay, I'm not going to engage. Like the narcissist, we're talking about the narcissist, they're so good at throwing the hook and you biting it, and then all of a sudden you're the bad guy. You've engaged in this crazy, and a lot of times the narcissist has this victim personality as well. So they suck you into that victim mentality.
And then if you're codependent at all or anything like that, you're going to start to feel bad about yourself and about what you've done. And then in my mind, because of my personality, I have to start thinking about ways, like I'll go in the kitchen and I'll be like, maybe I should take him a cookie or a piece of pie and, try to, you know what I'm saying? Try to make this okay. Or go in and cheer for their football team because I'm feeling super guilty about our not connecting, and maybe that'll be a way we can connect. It's just not allowing everybody to just be.
And all of a sudden you walk away and you're in their web. You've been sucked in, and it's that hook. I mean, and
then so and so is in the kitchen talking about me, going, "Oh God, here goes Shannon again. She's trying to peacemake. She's trying to make everything okay." And so it's this constant like.
And that's the deal. And when we think about those people in our life, it's like, I mean, the good thing is I've had some interaction recently with a narcissist, and it's like I didn't engage, and man, he tried everything to suck me in.
But going into that, you had a plan.
Oh, I had a big time plan.
I mean, you were, if you're a spiritual person, you were prayed up, you were,
I met with some
armed.
people. I was armed.
You were armed.
Yes.
And so, we got to, and I did notice at lunch too, that, some people were, as we're girlfriends and we're just kind of talking about things, people did try to have plans. They were like, I think I'm going to say I'm going to go to yoga. I'm not going to skip my yoga class or whatever it was. It actually wasn't yoga, but I'm being, discreet or whatever. But it was like, I'm going to go to
Orange
yoga.
Theory.
Yeah, no. So I'm going to go to yoga or whatever. And then if I leave the house and I actually don't go to yoga, that's going to be between me and, my maker or whatever. And I'm like, exactly. I go, that's okay. You don't have to feel guilty for feeling like maybe you had lied to somebody. I mean, even if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, but even taking those plans is like, I was telling someone the other day, that was here in my office, and just going, hey, you can take a little time out. If you're hosting everybody at your house, go to your bedroom, turn the TV on, and lay in your bed for a little bit.
Yes.
You don't have to please everybody.
Yes, and you don't have to explain yourself. You really don't. People don't require an explanation for what you're doing. They really don't, generally. Yeah. I don't think,
exactly. And it's in the same thing. If you go back to,
and wait, just real quick to finish my thought. And if they do require an explanation, that's on them, because we don't owe people an explanation. Let's say you have somebody and if you have somebody that has certain requirements, like wants to, one time when your mom came in town, I'll go ahead and use this example. I don't drink caffeinated coffee, and you do, but anyway, she wanted a special kind. She was like, why don't y'all have, toffee, almond fudge, cream coffee or whatever. And I'm like, yeah,
because we don't drink it.
We don't have that. But the next time that she came, I'm like, I made a plan, because I didn't want that comment to irritate me. Like, how on earth can I read her mind and she expect us to have that? So I asked, is there anything special? I'm happy to provide those things, but those kind of plans, just, I don't know, to avoid conflict.
And although we're not
it's okay to
talking
provide.
about my mom being a narcissist, we're just using that as an example.
No. I thought we were off of narcissists. No, I was not at all.
I'm kind of still on the narcissist.
Okay, I know, of course you are. I'm on a plan. I'm making a plan.
I'm making a plan. It's good for anything you do, and what we're talking about in holidays.
Yes.
But we're talking about having a plan when dealing with the narcissist. The other thing is, don't buy in the narcissist version of you. It's easy to do.
Yeah.
Don't do that. That's another thing to don't do. Don't argue with the narcissist, because they are great at arguing and turning it around, and all of a sudden you're confused. The deal is what you said when we were talking about my plan with the narcissist. Know yourself. I knew if I engaged in an argument or got into any kind of justification.
But you had to process that.
Oh, and
way before. There's a lot of planning that goes into that, like processing. Like, I know myself. Okay, I know what's gonna
set me off.
Yes.
Yeah, and so that's knowing yourself. This applies to everything. But we're just kind of
right.
That's why I said hodgepodge.
Yes. Well,
let go of the need
and that's
for
the only
approval.
reason I used your mom as an example and not my mom, is because my mom lives in Dallas. She doesn't come stay with us, but it would be the same thing. I know we all have our routines and our certain things and we should allow everyone to have their comforts and their comfort zones, as well as we should allow ourselves to keep and have our comfort and our comfort zones. Like, if we need to go lay down in our bed and watch a TV show and shut the door, we are allowed to do that, is what I'm saying.
Yes.
And nobody should get bent out of shape about that.
Yeah, it's taking care of self.
Yes.
Exactly, again.
So
and then, a couple other things, when, we're talking about family and Thanksgiving and, what'd you call it? The Thanksgiving platter or something?
Buffet. It's called a buffet. We can see who's in charge of meal preparation.
That would not be me. I am in charge of the deep fried turkey. And look,
I know you
my
like turn your
phone's-
phone off.
I didn't mean it was on.
I thought that was me. I'm like, oh, it's always such a relief when you find out it's not the one who's.
But
It's usually Chico.
But here's the deal: the other thing is look for support and purpose. Everywhere. This can apply to anything, but when dealing with the narcissist, is you want to learn what healthy relationships look and feel like. I've known people that have been married to narcissists, and they don't even know what healthy relationships they've been. Because they're caught up in that web, and it's like, how do they not know? We know two people pretty close to us that have been married to narcissists,
right?
And that's like, oh my goodness, and you start questioning them, but they've been caught in this web, and it's like, man, my heart aches for them now, and when they're out of it, it's like, whoa, that person is blossoming.
Right.
And stuff like that. Spend time with people who give you an honest reflection of who you are. That's another thing. Make new friendships if necessary outside of the narcissist orbit. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, this all comes after actually identifying
the narcissist.
Yeah.
But they're so good at the web.
It just starts. I appreciate you like sharing all this information because I think it's good. I think you're a little hyper focused on the narcissist, which is good. That's fine.
I am hyper
and that's
focused.
okay.
I will take ownership because
good.
I've had some conversations lately.
I know, and I think that's good because I think people. But it kind of all boils back down to just having a self-awareness and a personal responsibility and a plan for yourself instead of and then maybe you can identify the narcissist in your life if you have one.
But the other thing I was going to think about with Thanksgiving, and this is a Casa Cleanup production, so we're an alcohol and drug treatment center. Going back to that, giving a little, little heads up. We're changing. We're not talking about the narcissist, but I love talking about drinking and prevention and stuff like that. It's like that. The one thing I do recognize is a lot of times. We as just adults and stuff, we get into this mindset that kids don't really. We think that it's peer pressure that is where they really see drinking and see and that peer pressure pulls them in. I think the first experiences is really lots of times on a big level is the holidays. When you have holidays and it's Thanksgiving or Christmas and
they're just observing.
They're observing, and all of a sudden, uncle, so and so, and aunt so and so come over, and they're real quiet and they're kind of meek, but they've been around for a while and they've been drinking beer or wine or mixed drinks, and all of a sudden their personality changes and they're out, making funny jokes and pull my finger
or getting into arguments or
but sometimes
things are escalating or they're not.
Sometimes they're escalating, sometimes they're not. Sometimes all of a sudden this person changed, and it's the elixir that's created the change.
You're the one with the solo cup over there, buddy. Not me. But I agree.
Empty. It's empty.
Well, no, but I agree. But and during the holidays, I find that I drink alcohol, okay, because I'm not an alcoholic.
I do not drink alcohol.
I know, we know that, but so that's why we're a good team.
I do.
Because,
I think so.
But I probably drink more during the holidays than I would be, just because of the anxiety and the stress. But as of late, since when I got sick, when talking about my codependency and my anxiety, since I got sick, it was during Christmas. It was right before Christmas. I have had to have a plan before the holidays to make sure that I don't get too stressed out or sick. And part of that plan has been to monitor the alcohol intake.
Consumption. Mm-hmm. Yes, because stress leads to your...
stress leads to it, and then stress...
To your disease.
And then certainly drinking... let's be honest, everybody. It's really not great it's not great for anybody. I mean, there's studies, a little red wine or whatever, good for the heart or whatever, but like
you can eat red grapes,
pounding
and
tequila
get the same.
shots and drinking too many margaritas. It's not
or
good
a bottle
for
of wine.
But much more common around the holidays than a glass of red wine.
That's exactly. And so it's not it's not good for your body, and health wise. But anyway, so I have to come up with a plan. But I think that has benefited my entire family, having teenage sons that are watching. That they're kind of like, oh well, I guess it's Christmas. It's a Christmas party, so you're gonna,
tie it on.
Yeah, I mean, and then I do think that's when kids, if they're good at what they do, which most teenagers are good at what they do, meaning, lie and manipulate and get around things, they use the holidays as the perfect time. They're like, ooh, mom's had a few glasses of wine. Right, Kevin?
Absolutely.
Mom's had a few glasses of wine, and there's an open bar right there.
It's so easy to get away with at the holidays.
So easy. I'm going to plop this in my Coke. They're putting vodka and Coke and stuff, which is so disgusting, but I mean,
but you don't care.
They don't care. They're like, they're just taking nips off of whatever they can get a hold of.
Or how about at Christmas time, they're hitting the eggnog that's spiked.
Yes, yeah, but they're just...
Spiked, not spiced.
Spiked. But so they're thinking, everybody else is doing it and everybody else is having a good time and everybody else is on board with this method of, celebrating. So,
and then what they do is, when their kids are struggling, when they're young adults and stuff, they call, I don't know where it started.
Right. At your Christmas party.
Yes. It's their
Which
friends.
Which is why I am, we've had many parties at our house. I love to entertain.
You are good at entertaining.
Well, I do attempt to have some separation in the situations. Like I do try to isolate like the adult, bar, like where it's kind of really out in the open. Like you'd have to kind of, if you're a kid, you're going to have to try to get there. And then I try to have a separate whole drink station. I mean, we're talking, hot chocolate. I'll make a hot chocolate bar before I'll make a Bloody Mary bar or whatever. I mean, I try to make everything else a bigger deal.
The non-alcoholic drinks are more in the open than the alcoholic drinks in our home.
And they're displayed fun and nice, and they make it's like
hey, grab one of these. If you really want an alcoholic drink, you have to go search at our house.
Yeah, well,
you got to fight for it.
Yeah, I mean, when you don't have to search for it, but it's just more. You have to kind of say, excuse me, pardon me to enough adults that whatever. But
yes. But those are things to think about as you're going through the holidays. Thinking about coming up with a plan, recognizing where you are emotionally, mentally, spiritually. What are recognize if you're the crazy uncle or aunt.
Yeah.
Each of us bring our stuff into every relationship, and then you add in family, and there's old family stuff that come in all the time.
Well, and I would ask people to be bold too. I know you are always asking people to be bold, but as someone that does, I would, if I have a party at our house, I like to offer alcohol. I mean that's just my thing. I'm a party girl. I like to offer something for everybody. But my take on the holidays would be, I got a question from somebody wanting to do a sports party for an end of the season
football team
party.
Or something.
No, yeah, I'm just again, I'm gonna leave it, kind of whatever. Doing a party at our house.
It was football.
It wasn't.
Okay.
But it wasn't.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. So she called.
Was it 2014 or 2015?
Yeah. She called me and said, "I'm having adults over, and they're doing s'mores and hot chocolate and all that kind of stuff." And she goes, "But should I offer like wine and beer because the parents are invited and the coaches and everything?" And I said, "Absolutely not." I said, "You got to pick and choose. That is an event for the athletes."
Yeah, it's not for the adults.
Right, but people don't want to. They want to people please. They're like, well, I don't want people to be bored. I don't want people to get here and be like, oh, well, this party's lame or whatever. And I'm like, it's not for them.
But I like our little sign, in our house about boring.
Yeah, you're not bored. You're not boring. Bored. You're not bored. You're just boring.
Yes.
Yeah, but I'm
not bored. You're
Chico,
just
but you're taking away from my point. My point is pick and choose and plan, and you don't have to always have alcohol or whatever. I don't
yes,
know.
I agree.
Be bold. I was
be
just
bold.
saying be bold.
Be bold. And we want to be bold. The deal is have a happy Thanksgiving. Be
Have a
prepared.
plan.
Have a plan. Do with that. If you have questions, please give us questions.
Try to identify if you're the narcissist in your family and you're not recognizing it.
And that
maybe
would be
you could
very
help.
hard because most narcissists never
I know
admit
that's
they're
what
a narcissist.
we've cleared that up.
Yes. All right.
Yeah.
So until next time, have a good
Yes,
Thanksgiving.
yes.
Send us
Happy
questions.
Thanksgiving.